Hello friends, welcome to another session of Botany. We'll continue with the section Ecology and Environment, and this chapter named Biodiversity and Conservation is the third chapter of this section. In this chapter we are going to cover the meaning of biodiversity, various types of biodiversity and various conservation strategies. The term biodiversity indicates the variations found in all the life forms on a broad scale in an ecosystem. This term gained popularity as a brief form of biological diversity. This term was chiefly used in 1980s, and we can define biodiversity as the degree of variation found in the life forms present in an ecosystem or biome or on the earth at all levels of biological organization. Talking about biodiversity on our planet, according to an estimate, there are approximately 10 to 30 million species of living organisms, including animals as well as plants and lower organisms, found on our planet, out of which only about 1.4 million have been properly classified. As we can see in this diagram that the largest number of species have been classified under the category insects. There are about 248,000 species of higher plants, out of which, as we can see in this diagram, that dicots acquire the biggest section. In the human history, about 7,000 species of plants have been cultivated for human consumption. At present, only about 30 crops meet 95% of the demand for human consumption, out of which 4, that is rice, wheat, maize, and potato, are responsible for 60% of our intake. Now let us see how the various species are distributed on the earth. Biodiversity is often considered as a measure of the health of an ecosystem. Greater biodiversity implies a flourishing ecosystem in good health. Those ecosystems which exhibit a high degree of biodiversity are characterized by complex relationships between various species, which helps the system in being resilient even during stress and change in the environmental conditions. Mass extinction and catastrophic events led to sudden drop in the biodiversity of an ecosystem, indicating its poor health. Generally, the terrestrial biodiversity has been found to be up to 25 times more than marine biodiversity. Biodiversity is affected by many climatic factors such as the temperature, precipitation, altitude, soils, geography, and presence of other species. Therefore, it is not evenly distributed. Typically, the tropical rainforests are the richest habitats for biodiversity, whereas the polar regions are the poorest. In case of terrestrial biodiversity, a general increase has been observed on moving from the poles towards the tropics. Primarily, it is due to the increase in the average temperature. This type of pattern has not been observed in case of parasites and marine habitats. Another term related to biodiversity is the biodiversity hotspot. A region with high concentration of the endemic species is known as a biodiversity hotspot. This term was coined by a scientist named Norman Mayers. Although the hotspots are found all over the world, most of them are located in tropical rainforests. Brazil's Atlantic forests, Madagascar's dry deciduous forests, and lowland forests. Indonesia's islands are the examples of such hotspots with high concentration of endemic species. For being a plant diversity hotspot, the region must harbor at least 1,500 endemic plant species, which is 0.5% of the total species of plants found in the world. According to Myers, there are 25 hotspots in the world, which, although cover only 1.4% of the land on the Earth's surface, are home to about 44% of the plant species and 35% of all the terrestrial vertebrates. If we look at the biodiversity in India, we will find that it is a significantly biodiverse country. Biodiversity is measured in terms of the number of plant species and vertebrate species. It is one of the 18 megadiverse countries which are extremely biodiverse and are home to the majority of the species of flora as well as fauna found on the earth. India harbors a wide variety of ecozones such as mountains, plains, foothills, rivers, grasslands, temperate and tropical forests, marshes, and island archipelago. The summer monsoons cause a great impact on the region, causing an evident change in the vegetation as well as the habitat. Now, there are two main biodiversity hotspots in India. The first one is the Western Ghats, which we also call Sahyadri Hills, and the second is the Eastern Himalayas, which include the hills on India-Myanmar border. The Himalayas are part of the Palearctic ecozone, whereas most of the remaining country is in Indo-Malaya ecozone. India is home to about 6% of the total species of angiosperms found in the world, that is about 15,000. 11.7% or 2,546 Piscean species. 4.4% of the total amphibian species, that is around 197. 6.2% or 408 reptilian species. 12.6% of the total species of the birds found in the world, that is around 1,250 species, and 8.86% of the mammalian species, that is around 410. The highest level of endemism has been observed in the case of amphibians.